don't think you just come to us and you put the ATM card in, the money gets spit out, and you walk away. We want accountability. We want to know, what are we getting?
How fun is this? I mean, you are in an arena that you own. I mean, that must be an amazing feeling.
Well, it's more amazing when there's 20,000 people dressed in red, like they'll be in a couple of hours for first Caps game of the season. Yeah, and I have to pinch myself on occasion. It's always been a dream known, professional sports teams in the building in your hometown, and I'm really lucky.
Do you consider yourself a philanthropist?
It's interesting because past generations probably spent a lot of their time amassing wealth, and they didn't really spend the quality time in giving the money away. And I think this generation, because we're so metric-based and accountability, we live in this transparent, accountable world, that I see people now spending as much time and as much creativity, as much vigor in how they give their money away as they do in how they amass their wealth. And that's, I think, a big, big sea change. Charities that are managed well, that are data-driven, those are the charities that are built to last, and that will continue to be able to tap into philanthropists who want to give money and invest in charities. And I'm involved with a charity here in town called Venture Philanthropy Partners. A bunch of us got together, and first fund was about $50 million, and we literally make investments in the startup charities in no different fashion than we would making an investment in a startup company. We want that kind of discipline.
Do you think there's any risk of bringing words like scale and sustainability and looking for a return to the world of philanthropy?
No, in fact, I think that is a given now. Many of our investors, when they invest in us, look for 10 times return, and so that's an expectation that we would have on a founder of a young charity. I also think that you're seeing a lot more creativity in the way that you give back. So more and more I'm looking at double bottom line businesses to invest in, companies that will do really well because they do good. Groupon is a really good example. What attracted me to Groupon as an investment was, at the time, banks were not loaning money to small businesses. And so small businesses were really being kind of choked off. They weren't getting factoring. There was no cash flow coming to them via banks. And so when the founder of Groupon approached me and talked about, well, everyone wants a good deal, and young people are struggling to get jobs out of colleges. They're doubling and tripling up as roommates and the like. And they certainly will benefit from Groupon, but small businesses, that if we can bring them customers and bring them cash flow, we sell 1,000 products for someone, and we give them the money up front, and we trust them to be able to service over the year the customers coming into their store. We were like a big funding agent for small businesses, and we know as an economy, small businesses employ all of the people, they do all of the innovation. And so that was a good example of a company that was doing good and ended up doing very, very well. And as an investor, I was very happy with how my investment turned out.
When you look at your world of philanthropy, though, do you think of Groupon sitting in that, or is Groupon just a socially responsible investment to you?
Well, the social responsibility, this double bottom line, is something that I look at all of the time. I started to make movies, and I coined the term philanthropy. And I believe in that. It's, hey, let's make movies that, of course, they'll sell tickets, of course, they'll do well in all of their windows of distribution, but let's make movies that shine a light on a tough subject and activate charitable giving or get people aware of a cause. And then I started a company called Snag Films, which really now aggregates up. We've got about 8,500 mission-based good films. We assign a charity. We work with the filmmaker or the studio to say, well, what charity do we want to support? And most of these films, documentaries or independent films, are made with a mission in mind. And so we connect the charity around it, and the charity might want to raise money, or it might want to get signatures, or it might want to just shine the light and let tens of millions of people know that this is a big issue that you didn't know about.
What's one of your favorite examples of a successful movie that's been able to drive donations?
The first movie I made was a film called Nanking, which literally was about a Holocaust that happened in China pre-World War II. And pretty much its history had been forgotten. And we made this movie. We brought in American movie stars to be in the film. Woody Harrelson plays one of the major roles in it. And it's the most watched documentary film made by a foreigner in China. I
read somewhere that you sometimes feel like an ATM machine. Is that a good thing? Is that something you want to change?
Well, we want to get many of these charities to become self-perpetuating, and that they have to create systems, they have to create platforms that are ongoing. And what was happening in 08 and 09 and 010 was that a lot of the giving that was expected from these charities wasn't happening. And so all of a sudden they were being forced to cut back. But that's really difficult in a scholarship setting. What are you going to do? Tell the student who's going to school, oh, sorry, we can't pay for your school or your room and board. And so a lot of these charities were in deep, deep trouble. And so there were probably a dozen people locally that said, we understand what's happening and we're here to help. But don't think you just come to us and you put the ATM card in, the money gets spit out, and you walk away. We want accountability. We want to know, what are we getting? Yes, we're thrilled and grateful that we can help you to stay in business, but what is the return? And we honestly are trying to force entrepreneurs in the charitable area and established charities that we want results. We want to know that you're using our money wisely.